everyone. I just wanted to show you guys some of the additional progress that I made on my nonprofit mapping project. So for those of you who don't know, I have taken data from the IRS on all 1.9 million nonprofits in the United States, combined that data, cleaned that data, got categories from the National Center for Charitable Statistics right here. They have their own codes for nonprofits, and I find it to be much more consistent and useful than the IRS codes. Um, the IRS activity codes, they're all like self-reported, so the consistency is not really there. Like a lot of churches, for example, tell the IRS that they do educational stuff as their primary thing and not religious stuff, but the National Center for Charitable Statistics assigns the codes based on the nonprofit themselves, so it's just generally more consistent, and I like their codes better than what I found in the IRS, so hopefully they will let me upload my data and my maps and stuff using their codes, but I messaged them. We'll see what they say. But anyway, um, in this map right here, I have the people per nonprofit per state. So like California, we can go over there and see that they have, for every nonprofit, they have 207.2 people. Wyoming has 108.3 people for every nonprofit. Vermont over here has about 101 people per nonprofit. And you can just look at all of the states. You can also go up here, see Alaska, go over here, see Hawaii. Hawaii is not separated by island. I think that might be something that would be interesting to do in the future, is just look at it island by island and how many nonprofits are there versus how many people are there. So over here, we have something different. We have the people per emergency nonprofit per state. Now I need to update that title. So for the emergency nonprofits, I took the codes for things like food banks, homeless shelters, domestic violence shelters, animal shelters, since a lot of domestic violence and homeless shelters don't allow pets. So I included animal shelters in there, victim services, stuff like that. And so the warmer colors here are have fewer nonprofits per people. So we see Utah, I don't know what they're doing, but they have 206 total emergency nonprofits, or at least what I deem emergency nonprofits in the state. So given their population, they have 17,000 people roughly per emergency nonprofit that they have. I think Vermont might be, yeah, Vermont is has the lowest ratio, so they have 122 emergency nonprofits there, and 5,300-ish people per emergency nonprofit. Sorry, my cat came up and distracted me. So I don't know what Utah's doing. The Mormon Church is very present in Utah, so maybe they don't think that they need as many nonprofits because of the Mormon Church and the support that the church provides. Maybe they're right. I don't know. I don't really know anything about Utah, honestly. And then right down here, we have the nonprofit activity percent heat map. So the darker the color here, the more active these nonprofit sections are. Cat. So like Hawaii right here has 7% of all nonprofits with codes are for arts and culture. So those are things like museums and art galleries and such. But it's important to note that roughly 60% of nonprofits do not have a code. The codes are opt-in, so you have to reach out to the Urban Institute to get a code. They are not automatically assigned. But I like this map. You can sort of see who has the most animal nonprofits. So that would be Alaska, actually, and actually, no, that would be Arizona, my bad. So that's Arizona. The fewest would be DC. DC has the highest education nonprofit percent, and then West Virginia has the lowest. And you can just go through, see the most, see the least. You can alphabetize it by state. You can reverse alphabetize it by state. You can also move these around. Switch the arts and culture, move that like over there. I like to keep it in alphabetical order though. And then here we have a graph on all of the nonprofit categories across the United States. So we have the human services category, and actually the education, is that? No, the human services category is slightly larger. So that's typically what you think of when you think of nonprofits. So that would be in this category. And then here, this is the heat map of all the different nonprofits. So we have, if you uncheck everything, the map disappears. So here's a heat map of all the nonprofits. As you can see, it's like a heat map of the population. And then here's all the ones for environmental nonprofits. Here's all the ones for food. And this is just kind of neat. You can see like where the nonprofits are based. For the most part, though, nonprofits are where the people are, so it's mostly just an overall population density heat map. But there are some differences, and I thought that might be neat to explore. And then right here, this is my favorite part of the project. It's an easy nonprofit data finder. So you can sort by category. So you can have like all your community organizations, your crisis organizations, and then you can just filter it by that. You can also filter it by state and by city. So this is just for Springfield, Illinois. But if I wanted to do like Akron, Ohio, we can type in Akron. Nothing shows up because it's only filtered for Illinois. We can look at every Akron. Apparently there's an Akron, Alabama and an Akron, Colorado. But if I wanted Akron, Ohio, check off Ohio. Here's Akron, Ohio. And then one thing that I really like is I went through all of the NTEE codes that the 40% of nonprofits do have, and I took several codes and flagged them as emergency. So things like food banks, domestic violence shelters, stuff like that. And then what you can do is if you hit this true button, you see all those different, what I deemed to be emergency nonprofits. So this way, hopefully I can get this online and it will be much easier for people in these emergency situations to find nonprofits that can help them, because nonprofits, they don't always have the best search engine optimization, so they can be very difficult to find on Google. And then if you wanted, you could also hit false, and then it'll show you everywhere that is in Ohio that is not Akron. I'm not sure why you would do that, but like, it works, you can do it. So yeah, that's where the project is at. There's a couple more things that I would like to do with it. I would like to also have data on the counties instead of just like the cities and the states. I think that could be potentially very helpful. I just have to figure out how to get the data in my data set best. The challenge there is I need to find a list of all the counties or all the cities that are in each county, because I do not want to go through all the cities by hand. So I'm trying to find a data set that already has all that information that I can use. But yeah, that's just where the project's at. I'm meeting with a web designer guy on Tuesday to potentially talk about how to best get this online on a website. Alrighty, see you next time when I have more updates.